first of all, it's nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me. It's a lovely location, nice room. A bit of background, first of all. I've been working with Dylan, Graham and John for about 18 months, quite some considerable time. Initially just via email and a few telephone calls. I only had the pleasure of meeting them just a few months ago, and I was lucky enough to join them on the survey of Treban. I don't want to destroy the pronunciation with my English tones. Treban or Treban? And first of all, Ordnance Survey are very confident in their methods and their techniques and also their experience. I mean, I said I was there on the Treban survey, and it was just like watching a bunch of Ordnance Survey surveyors. They're very confident with the GPS equipment. They know what they're doing, both in terms of setting it up and collecting the data. So Ordnance Survey are very confident to accept their answers. Just a little bit on that answer, as Mervyn said, the GPS kit is capable of an accuracy of about 5 centimetres. The reason the kit such as this can squeeze so much accuracy out of the data it collects is that fundamentally it's not much different from the sat-nav you have in the car or the GPS you might have in your smartphone. The key aspect is rather than just taking that instant snapshot position, the key thing is to sit there and collect the GPS data, which is why they have to sit on top of the mountain for 4 hours, which it looks like it's a nice day, so that's not too much of a trial. But once you've collected a large chunk of GPS data, you can combine that with GPS data from other stations. Now, Ordnance Survey has approximately 110 very accurate stations, similar to this, a little bit more advanced, bigger antenna and slightly better receiver, but not too far removed from this kind of kit. And they've effectively replaced the familiar trig pillars that you may see on tops of many hills. So these 110 stations sit there collecting GPS data 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And they define the accurate reference frame that's now used by all our surveyors in all our maps. So if you take the data from those stations, combine it with the data collected here, run it through some very clever software, you then are able to get these very accurate positions out of it. And it's the same technique that our own surveyors use to put houses and roads and other features on the map. So they're using the same equipment, exactly the same equipment at the moment, and technique that our own surveyors use. So we're very happy to accept their results and methods. Just a little bit of defence of our original height, the 999 metres. I'd like to think it's not wrong, it's just different. Most of the heights for contours and the spot heights that you see from the tops of mountains on maps were surveyed from aerial photography in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, so quite some time ago. And although Ordnance Survey we use a lot of aerial photography now, we have 2 dedicated aircraft. But they're mainly used for collecting map detail, houses, roads and things like that, to an accuracy of about 20 centimetres, about that much. To fly mountains to collect contours to that accuracy would be completely inefficient. They'd have to fly very low, it would just take forever and cost an absolute fortune. And it would be kind of a sledgehammer to crack a nut approach. So the heighting for the mountains is flown much higher, and probably several decades ago with not so quite sophisticated cameras and equipment, which is why we end up with the height accuracy on the maps of 2 to 3 metres, which is most of the time perfectly good enough. It's, if you're there on top of the mountain, you're quite happy to know that you're within so many metres of what it says. You're not going to worry that you're not within so many centimetres. But obviously for heights like this one, where it's right on the cusp of such an important cut-off point, such an important threshold, then it is nice to know what it is to be more accurate. Just a little bit more defence about height, a little bit similar to Treban. The general ground level that you can see on the photograph there is probably 999 metres, but it's the spike that brings it up above. So when the height when the top of the height was the height of the top was surveyed, it was probably the general ground height that was actually surveyed from the photograph. I would imagine it's quite difficult to pick out a little spike of bits of rock from an aerial photograph taken from quite considerable height. So that's probably another reason why the height was pegged at 999. It's probably the general ground. But even so, we're happy to accept that height. It's already gone into our cartographic flow lines. I'll just have to consult my notes. The digital data will be updated next month. The 1 to 25,000 scale data is next month. The 1 to 25,000 scale paper maps are due out next year with the new height. And that will also show the new height of Tribune as well. And the 1 to 50,000 data and paper maps are due out later this year. So this change will kind of go live in our mapping quite soon. And I think that's it. We're just happy to accept the new height. And any more you've got for us, just let me know.
We're fine.
Okay, thank you.
It'll be 1001 when it's on the map.
Oh yeah, sorry, it will, yeah, because obviously 1000.8 rounds to the nearest metre to 1001. So yeah, we display there's 1001 metres on our maps.
And you're not thinking of building a trig point on the top of the house?
Absolutely not, no. I mean, unfortunately, all the trig points are now redundant for surveying purposes. They're just nice little navigational layers. I'm sure there'll be plenty of surveyors who volunteer for the job. But, no, we're not going to build anything on the top.